Close your grammar book for a moment. This is not another English lesson where you learn a new rule you will probably forget. This video is for the forever student. For anyone who feels that secret frustration, you study for years, you know the words, but you still freeze in a real conversation. Your mind is a beautiful library, full of English vocabulary and rules, but the door is locked by fear. You have all the knowledge, but you don't have the key. If this feels familiar, then you are in the right place, because I know exactly how you feel. I was the king of the forever students. My library of English was huge. I had every grammar book. I used flashcard apps every single day. On paper, I was an advanced student. I could pass any written test you gave me. But in the real world, I was a beginner. And I learned this lesson in the most painful way possible. I want to tell you about the worst 15 minutes of my life. It was a job interview. Not just any job interview. This was for my dream company, an international tech firm, the kind of company I had spent years preparing for. The position required fluent English, and I had told them, with confidence, that I was fluent. Because, in my head, I was. I had prepared for weeks. I learned all the business vocabulary. I wrote down perfect answers to all the classic questions. Tell me about yourself. What are your weaknesses? I had memorized them. I felt ready. I walk into the room. The interviewer, a man from Canada, was friendly. He smiled, we shook hands, and he said, "So, thanks for coming in. Before we start with the formal questions, just tell me a little bit about your weekend. Did you do anything fun?" And right there, my world stopped. My brain went completely blank. My library, with thousands of perfect words, suddenly locked its doors. My weekend? This was not on my list of memorized questions. I didn't have a perfect answer for this. He was just trying to make conversation, to be a human being, and my brain went into panic mode. I remember my mouth opening, and a stupid sound came out. Something like, weekend. Good. He waited. He was still smiling, but his eyes were starting to look confused. I could feel my face getting hot. My heart was beating so fast. In my mind, I was screaming at myself, "Say something! Anything! Talk about the movie you watched! Talk about the park!" But the words wouldn't come out. It was like they were trapped behind a wall of glass. After a silence that felt like an entire year, I finally said something terrible. I said, "My weekend was efficient." Efficient. Who says that? He just nodded slowly. And I knew. I knew in that exact moment I had lost the job. The rest of the interview was a blur. I tried to use my perfect, memorized answers, but the damage was done. I wasn't a confident communicator. I was a robot who could only say the lines I had practiced. I walked out of that building, got into my car, and I just sat there in silence. I didn't feel angry. I felt ashamed. I felt like a fraud. All those years of studying, all those hours on apps, all that money on courses. For what? To be defeated by a simple question about my weekend? The traditional methods had failed me. They taught me how to be a good student of English. They never taught me how to be a real user of English. They helped me build the library, but they sold me 1,000 different books instead of giving me the one thing I actually needed, the key to the front door. And in that car, feeling lower than I had ever felt, I made a decision. I decided I was done being a student. I was done collecting words I would never use. From that day forward, my only goal was to find the key. I had to find a new way, a way to stop studying English, and finally start living it. The journey to find that key was not easy. I didn't find it in another course or a new magic app. I had to build it myself, through trial, through many errors, and through a fundamental change in how I saw the language. What I discovered was not a method. It was a philosophy, a simple way of thinking that changed everything for me. And today, I call it the now or never philosophy. It is the key I was looking for, and it's the key I want to give to you. This philosophy is built on 3 simple, powerful truths. These are the truths that took me from that silent, ashamed man in the car to a confident English speaker. These are the truths that will unlock your library. The first truth is this: your goal is connection, not perfection. For years, my goal was to speak perfect English. No mistakes, perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation. But this goal is a trap. It is the reason we freeze. We are so afraid of saying something wrong that we end up saying nothing at all. But think about it. Why do we learn a language? We learn it to connect with other human beings, to share ideas, to ask for help, to tell a joke, to understand another person's story. The goal is connection. When that interviewer asked about my weekend, he wasn't giving me a grammar test. He was trying to connect with me. If I had answered, "Weekend?" I go, watched movie. Was good. With broken grammar but a real smile, we would have connected. The conversation would have continued. But I was so focused on being perfect that I failed at being human. I remember the first time I truly understood this. I was traveling, and I was completely lost in a small town in Italy. My Italian was terrible. I needed to find the train station. I walked up to an old woman and said, in the worst Italian you can imagine, "Excuse me. Train." "Where?" I pointed at a picture of a train on my phone. She didn't laugh at my grammar. She saw that I needed help. She smiled, pointed down the street, and said a lot of beautiful Italian words I did not understand. But then she held up 2 fingers and pointed to her left. 2 blocks, then left. I understood. I said, "Grazie, grazie." We connected. My terrible grammar did not matter. Our shared goal of communication was what mattered. That is the first key. You must change your goal. Your mission is not to be a perfect English speaker. Your mission is to connect with the person in front of you. So here is your first small action. Tonight, I want you to take out your phone. open the voice recorder. And for just 2 minutes, talk about your day in English. The only rule is you cannot stop and you cannot correct yourself. If you forget a word, describe it. If you make a grammar mistake, keep going. Just connect your thoughts to your voice. The goal is to finish, not to be perfect. The second truth is, action creates confidence, not the other way around. We all tell ourselves the same lie. I will speak more when I feel more confident. We wait for a magic feeling of confidence to appear before we take action. But this is completely backward. It is like waiting to be strong before you go to the gym. It will never happen. Confidence is not a feeling you wait for. Confidence is a result you build. It is the product of taking small, scary actions again and again. My confidence was zero after that interview. The idea of speaking English made me feel sick, but I knew I couldn't wait for that feeling to go away. My new philosophy demanded action, no matter how small. So I did something that terrified me. I joined a free online conversation group on an app. I didn't turn on my camera. I just listened for the first 2 sessions. My heart was pounding. In the 3rd session, the moderator asked a simple question. What is your favorite food? My turn was coming. I wanted to leave the chat. My hands were sweating. But then I remembered, action creates confidence. When it was my turn, I turned on my microphone and I said one sentence, "My favorite food is pizza." Then I turned my microphone off. That's it. And guess what? Nobody laughed. Nobody cared. But for me, it was a huge victory. That tiny action was the first brick in my new wall of confidence. The next time, I said 2 sentences. The time after that, I answered a question and asked a question. Brick by brick, action by action, my confidence grew. It didn't come from a book. It came from doing the scary thing. Your confidence is waiting for you on the other side of a small action. So here is your second action. It is your now or never moment for today. Right now, after this video, I want you to go into the comments section. Find a comment written in English that you find interesting, and write a simple, 1-sentence reply. It can be, "I agree," or "That's an interesting point," or "Thank you for sharing." It doesn't matter. What matters is that you take a small, real action. You move from being a passive watcher to an active participant. Do it. And the third and final truth is, you must become an actor, not just a student. What is the difference between a student and an actor? A student learns the lines. An actor performs them on a stage. For years, I was a student. I sat in the audience of life, collecting information. I was learning the script, but I was never getting on the stage to perform. The now or never philosophy says you must find a stage. You must create situations where you are forced to act, to use your English. This doesn't mean you need to move to another country. The stage can be your own life. It is about making active choices to immerse yourself. After I started building my confidence with small actions, I knew I needed a bigger stage. So I did something simple but powerful. I changed the language on my smartphone to English. Suddenly, my daily life was a stage. Ordering my coffee on an app, checking the weather, setting my alarm. Everything was a small English performance. At first, it was difficult, but after a week, it became normal. I was no longer studying English. I was using it to live my life. I remember when my friend, who was also learning English, heard about this. He thought it was a crazy idea. He said, "But what if I press the wrong button? What if I don't understand something?" And I told him, "You will. You will figure it out. Because you are smart, and you have to." Forcing yourself to act makes you resourceful. It makes you a problem solver, not just a word collector. You have to find your own stage. Here is your third action. I want you to choose one small part of your life to be your English stage for the next 24 hours. Just one. Maybe it's your kitchen. When you are cooking, you will narrate everything you do in English, even if it's just for yourself. Now I am cutting the onion. I am putting oil in the pan. Or maybe your stage is your car. You will only listen to music with English lyrics and try to sing along. Or maybe it's your journal. You will write one page in English before you go to sleep. Choose your small stage and for 24 hours be the actor. These are the three truths. Connection, not perfection. Action creates confidence. And become an actor, not a student. This is the philosophy. This is the key. So, what happened to me? Did this philosophy actually work? Let me take you back to 1 year after that terrible interview. 1 year of applying these three truths every single day. 1 year of small actions, focusing on connection, and finding small stages to perform on. Another dream job opportunity came up. Another international company. Another interview in English. This time, when I walked in, I felt different. I was still nervous, but it wasn't fear. It was excitement. The interviewer, a woman from the UK, sat down and smiled. And she asked me a question that would have destroyed me a year ago. She said, "Your resume is very impressive. But tell me something about you that's not on your resume." The old me would have panicked, but the new me saw an opportunity to connect. I took a breath, and I told her the story of my terrible first interview. I told her how I froze, how I felt ashamed, and how that failure inspired me to change my entire approach to learning. I was honest. I was vulnerable. I made a few small grammar mistakes, but I didn't care. I was telling a story. I was connecting with her. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, a real smile, and she said, "Thank you for sharing that. That's exactly the kind of resilience and self-awareness we look for here." I got the job. The moral of this story is simple. The difference between the man who failed and the man who succeeded was not the number of words in his head. It was the philosophy in his heart. The second time, I didn't have much more vocabulary, but I had the key to the library. I understood that my goal was to connect. I had built my confidence through hundreds of small actions, and I had practiced being an actor in my own life, so the big stage didn't feel so scary. This is the mirror I wanted to show you today. Look into it. You are probably not a beginner. Your library is already full. You have spent years collecting beautiful words and rules. The problem is not your knowledge. The problem is the locked door of fear. You don't need another book. You just need the key. And the key is action. Your potential is not trapped because you are bad at English. It is trapped because you are waiting. Waiting to be perfect. Waiting to feel confident. Waiting for the right moment. And the one simple truth is this: the right moment is now. It is always now. So I am calling you to action. I want you to start your own transformation story today. Your first step is simple. It is the one I gave you earlier. Go to the comments section of this video and reply in one English sentence to someone else. That is your first small action. That is you turning the key. That is your now or never moment. Thank you for watching. If this philosophy made sense to you, if you felt understood today, then subscribe to this channel. We don't just learn English here. We change our lives with it. Click the like button so more people who feel stuck can find this message. And let me know in the comments which of the 3 truths was the most important for you. Now, go take your first action. Your bigger life is waiting.